seeing you real soon.
Hey guys, my name is Mushroom. I have a lot of different names and I just really like lore. Hero 51, aka Sierra, has finally been revealed. And with her came her hero trailer, but also her gameplay trailer. I'm going to be talking about both of these, but mostly her hero trailer and the little lore that we got, because there is some stuff that is there that I haven't seen many people talk about. I'm going to be going over all of this and a little bit more, as well as my theories. I was going to originally wait to do this till we got Sierra's comic, but that's going to be coming out next week, so I'll probably be making a full video on that on its own and talking about her character a little bit more in there once we get a better idea of where the story is going to be going next season. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe. Liking helps support the channel, and subscribing lets me know you guys like this kind of stuff. So, yeah, let's get into this by talking about the hero trailer and the little story that happened in it, then talking about my theories on it. The hero trailer begins with Sierra going to attempt to stop Emre from escaping the Naughton Vault at Watchpoint Grand Mesa. The two meet, and there's a small clash, where Sierra basically overpowers Emre pretty quickly. Emre gets knocked out, and, of course, the AI deep inside, Chernobog, takes control. As Chernobog awakens, he's almost able to defeat Sierra until Freya shows up and bolas Sierra to the ground. With her to the ground, Freya tells Chernobog that the situation is under control, and the target's been neutralized. Chernobog gives control back to Emre, and Emre basically escapes with whatever device they came to get from the Naughton Vault. And Freya tells Sierra not to follow them, and that she doesn't want this fight. The two escape on an airship and fly off, while Sierra breaks free of the bola and is tracking their ship, saying she'll be in contact with them real soon. So, yeah, not a lot going on in this one, but there are a couple little lore tidbits that are probably going to be important to the season that I'm going to be talking about here. Of course, the first thing that happens in this is Overwatch. So at the beginning of this, we get to hear Sojourn's voice on a radio, basically talking to Sierra. This is kind of a big deal because, as far as we know, Overwatch was about to be shut down by the International Justice Commission, or the IJC. We'll get to hear a little bit about that in Overwatch Undivided, but also in a couple other story tidbits over the last year, so it is really neat to see that Helix is working with Overwatch because they're the faction Sierra's a part of. So it does show that the IJC at least is letting Overwatch work with Helix. Helix is basically bought out by a lot of big international governments and organizations to be the new Overwatch. So Helix working alongside Overwatch here to defend the Watchpoint does show that the IJC probably is going to allow Overwatch to stay around, at least until the Talon era is over. This is a pretty big deal because the last time we saw anything about this was with Overwatch Undivided, where it was kind of teased that Sojourn was off meeting with the IJC to talk about Overwatch's, well, point and reason for existing still. So it does look like we got a little teaser for how that'll go, which we'll probably be hearing about in Overwatch Undivided in the future. But I did want to bring that up as it's kind of a pretty big moment that's kind of put to the side. Another little thing in this trailer that I haven't really seen anyone mention is Sierra's drone. So it does have a name. Its name is Dorothy. You can see it written on the drone at a couple little points in this, but it looks like the D, O, and Y in Dorothy are most likely going to be like added on by her. ROTH is the part of the drone that looks like it was like factory made with it, and it probably stands for something. I've seen people say recon and then something else, and I'm not really sure, but we'll probably be learning about this more next week with her comic. This does bring up the idea that maybe she's from Kansas. Dorothy is a pretty big name in The Wizard of Oz, obviously, and maybe there's a connection there and would go to show she's from the US, but also from a bit more of a southern area than other heroes. Obviously not the most southern, but you know what I mean. This is a thing with the character that they could do if they wanted to, but I thought I'd bring it up anyways just to kind of talk about it and bring up the drone. It's really interesting we're getting another drone character as well. We could basically have a team of drone characters if we really wanted at this point. But yeah. Okay, the next big thing, which is the thing I've already kind of talked about, is the Naughton Vault. So at first, a lot of people didn't even realize this is where Emre was leaving from, but when I heard this, I was like, wait a minute. There's a character who has that name in the lore. We hear about this character in Overwatch Declassified, which is a big novel of a bunch of glossary kind of points that are important to the world but not important to the game. Victoria Naughton, which is who the vault is assumedly named after, was the creator of the SEP program, or the Soldier Enhancement Program. The same program that Soldier 76 and Reaper were a part of way back in the day. They're two of the only soldiers that we actually know from this program, but Victoria Naughton was the creator, or the head scientist of it. This means that whatever Emre got from this vault is probably something to do with the Soldier Enhancement Program. Probably a serum. Everything with Watchpoint Grand Mesa has been teased since Powder Keg Mine, and on that map, you can see on one of the boards in the back at the middle of the room, you can see a serum storage icon. So it looks like they stole some type of serum for the Soldier Enhancement Program. This is a pretty big deal because in Vengeance Comes, we learned that Moira wanted to come here in particular, so what Moira wanted was probably this, or at least some information on the enhancement program. Moira as a character is all about human evolution, so it does make sense that she would want to get her hands on this, but I'm wondering if Vendetta has an ulterior motive here. Maybe Vendetta wants Moira to create more super soldiers, or to give her army of gladiators the serum. This would be a pretty big deal and would shake the power between the factions even more. I am really curious to see where this is going to go, and if this leads to maybe another hero in the future, because this whole serum is a pretty big deal in the lore. We haven't heard much about this since Overwatch Declassified, so yeah, it's pretty cool to see this referenced and brought back up. The only other major thing that happens in this is everything with Emre and Freya. So, like I alluded to earlier, in Overwatch Vengeance Comes, which is Vendetta's comic that came out last season, we got to see that the raid that was going to be happening on Watchpoint Grand Mesa was being spearheaded by Moira. She really wanted this to happen, and while the Deadlock Rebels were hired to basically cause a distraction out front, Emre and Freya were tasked with going inside and basically stealing something, which we now know is whatever's in this case. With that in mind, Freya's really only here for Emre, and Emre is being forced to be here by the AI inside him. And we get to see the AI do a little bit more in this actually. So, as I said in my breakdown of the actual trailer, Chernobog, who is assumedly the AI that's the eye inside of Emre, seems to let go and give control back over when he's told that everything is under control. This is interesting because as far as we know, Chernobog, once he's in control, is just in control. There is no way to snap him out of it. Emre has said that whenever he disobeys Chernobog, Chernobog basically just takes control and forces him to do it. So, either A, Freya was able to convince Chernobog and Chernobog kind of resettled down, or B, Freya was the voice of reason that kind of helped Emre push through it, which would be a big moment for both their characters. Emre and Freya have a really close relationship and dynamic, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is something expanded on, and maybe Emre can eventually break free of Chernobog and eventually get out of the conspiracy, which is kind of where Emre's story is going. As a little refresher for those who don't know who the conspiracy is, they're assumedly the faction behind Emre. His eye on his chest is the same as their logo, and they're the ones who kind of puppet the entire world. I wouldn't be surprised if Chernobog is also a prisoner of this, and maybe we'll get a little bit of lore on Chernobog, Emre, and everything going on with that in the background this season. But I think this focus should probably be on Sierra instead. Anyways, those are the major lore tidbits from this trailer. But there's another thing I want to talk about with the gameplay trailer. So, in the gameplay trailer, while the kit is not something I'm really going to be talking about here, there is one part of it that is interesting to me. I was talking to a couple friends, and we all kind of noticed something. So obviously, the big contentious thing I've seen people talk about is Sierra having an auto-aim. You can see it in the trailer, but what is interesting about this is her gun and the auto-aim having a purple hue. It's like a purple-pink kind of color. What if she's using some type of vanadium, which is the mineral that Hazard uses in his back, and also the thing that he stole all the way back in his hero trailer. Vanadium doesn't have a lot of lore about it, but it is the only other thing that has this kind of leaching probability to it, or just kind of auto-aim. Hazard does it in his own kit, so that brings up the idea that maybe all of Sierra's tech here was created or helped being made by Moira. Moira was the one who was spearheading the vanadium research back when Hazard was releasing, and we also know she was working with Helix to really get this whole thing going. So it does make sense that a little bit of that research maybe would have been put into their top lieutenant, aka Sierra. This is also something I think would make a lot of sense for a lot of different little reasons, but also would it be really cool lore tie to get Hazard involved with another character. Hazard's one of the heroes that I think has been left behind a lot, so I would really like to see him get involved with other heroes and just more in the story in general, and this character would be a perfect one to do it with. Anyways, those are all my little thoughts and tidbits about not only the gameplay trailer but the hero trailer, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. Are you excited about Sierra? Do you guys want to see more of her? And of course, what do you think Moira is going to be doing with the Soldier Enhancement Program? That's something that I think we're going to be seeing a lot of this season especially, and it's something that we've kind of been thinking would happen, but it's exciting to see anyways. That's all from me. Let me know how you guys feel about this, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys next week when Season 2 launches. Bye!